Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel. October 5th, 2017.
Was Las Vegas an ISIS terrorist attack? This question now at least has to be asked in the wake now of all of this new information in the last 24 hours. And in particular, my friends, here is now what we do know definitively. Number one, the Las Vegas sheriff in a press conference yesterday said Stephen Paddock did not act alone. That he must have had at least one or several accomplices to be able to pull off this kind of a massacre. That this was thought out, it was meticulous, it was extremely well planned, and that this was crafted over many months. So this wasn't just some fly-by-night guy who just snapped, as the media was trying to claim just a couple days ago. Number two, and maybe even more importantly, ISIS immediately claimed responsibility for the attack. Now, they're not always right. They have lied in the past, but it is unusual for ISIS to make a false claim. Most of the time, when they say they've done something, they've done it. Now, they have lied, so it's not foolproof, but what is highly unusual is that they double down. They've never done that before, where they said, I'm telling you, we were the ones behind it, and they even gave out the, what do you call it, the nom de guerre, the name, the agent name, the warrior name. Amir al-Alamiki is what they had called Stephen Paddock. So they immediately described him as a soldier of the caliphate, and they doubled down. Now, again, take it with a grain of salt. They are getting hammered in Raqqa. They're losing the war in Syria and Iraq. They desperately need a propaganda victory. So they could be lying. But the fact is they have claimed him, and in fact claimed him not once but twice. Furthermore, he now led a secret life, according to what we're hearing now from investigators. Apparently, he had been amassing an arsenal for many years. They found explosives in his car, over 1,600 rounds of ammunition in his car out at the Mandalay Bay. We know now that he was also targeting two massive aviation fuel depots or tanks right near the concert venue. And maybe he wanted to set off these explosives and blow Las Vegas sky high. What we're also finding out is that they were always on the run. Meaning, in this sense, he owned numerous homes. Apparently, he's a multimillionaire. He was a high-stakes gambler, loved video poker, was a big regular, not just in Reno, Nevada, but all across Las Vegas. In fact, the room that he rented, the two rooms on the 32nd floor, he was what they call a VIP platinum member. The rooms are almost $600 each. He didn't have to pay because he was such a highly valued customer who would gamble tens and tens of thousands of dollars at a time. They said he gets the room for free. So he had a lot of money, and he spent a lot of money. What is extremely bizarre, however, is that we're finding out that he had multiple homes. He had at least 3 homes in Nevada, homes in California, homes in Texas, homes in Florida. And what is extremely strange is that according to all of the neighbors, he and the girlfriend, Mary Lou Danley, who is Filipino, she's an Australian national, but she's from the Philippines, has a lot of family in the Philippines, that they would never stay at any one home for more than 2 weeks. That, in fact, in most of the homes, all of the neighbors have described this. This is the picture they paint. That they would keep the shades down, that they noticed no furniture whatsoever, that they would come in, stay for about 2 or 3 weeks, and then leave. And they wouldn't see them for 8, 9 months. Then they would come back, again, 2 or 3 weeks, and then leave. No furniture. They didn't invest anything inside the home. And apparently now in the home in Reno, I believe, or Mesquite, I'm getting confused now, but one of the two homes, either in Mesquite or in Reno, he had a massive fridge, which was a safe. Like a safe that was the size of a huge fridge, which apparently now he had been using to stockpile all kinds of weapons, machine guns, ammunition. They have found explosives now, not just in his car, but in multiple homes. When you have people moving, first of all, why are they moving from house to house to house to house? Why is he amassing so much explosives? The girlfriend, I don't believe her. I don't believe her. She says that the $100,000 was wired to her in the Philippines because she was afraid that was a sign that he was going to leave her. Like, kind of like, here's $100,000, thanks for the good times, bye-bye. I don't believe her. Why was the $100,000 wired? Why are they moving house to house? Why was he amassing this arsenal, this stockpiling of weapons, almost like it's for his own private war, apparently over a sustained long period of time? My friends, I am starting to think this has terrorism written all over it. And if it is terrorism, we don't know for sure yet, but if it is, that may also explain the multiple witnesses of shooters, that there was not one shooter, but several shooters. 617-266-6868. Okay, let's go to Cheryl in Lowell. Cheryl, apparently you were in Vegas at the time of the shooting, correct?
That's correct. Thank you very much for taking my call.
My pleasure, Cheryl.
We were actually we weren't staying at the Mandalay. We were staying over at the Aria, but during the day we were out just looking at the sites. We had been over at the Mandalay, for a couple of hours that afternoon, probably between 3 and 5:30. Scene was fine. It seemed peaceful, nothing wrong. Strangely, we left. We headed back over on the south side of the strip. Few hours goes by. It's about 10 p.m. We're over near the Links. We were walking down a side street just off the strip, and we started seeing the TV screens that were posted outdoor at the restaurant, the establishment, and we started seeing a news break that there's been a shooting at the Mandalay. Within 3 or 4 minutes, someone started screaming for everybody to get off the strip. I don't know if it was law enforcement. I didn't hear any cruises or anything at that moment. They were just screaming there was 2 dead. They're coming. So it just turned chaotic. I'm still shaken up, so you'll have to forgive me as I...
Oh, you're doing fine, Cheryl.
And people just started running. They said they were screaming to take shelter, get inside. We were trying at that moment to get into the Links. Within seconds, security blocked all the doors. They weren't allowing anybody in. They were pushing everybody back onto the street, so it was extremely unsettling. I remember husband and wife with their baby carriage and, the stroller tipping over, they're trying to pick up their child. It was mayhem. So, within a couple of minutes, we were able to get around another side of some security. We were able to access the Links. We did get inside. At that point, they kept screaming, they're coming. Still, we had no information except for what we had seen moments before on the TV.
Now, Cheryl, hold on. I don't mean to cut you off, but when you're saying they're coming, that means the police are coming, correct?
We didn't know if they were sick. They just kept screaming, there are shooters, 2 dead, and so that was all we were getting. We didn't know if it correct.
Now, so who was saying they're shooters in the plural? Who was saying that?
Couldn't see beyond the voice. I couldn't. It was at the beginning of the strip.
Okay.
And people just kept moving their way down. So again, I didn't visually see any cruises or anything at that point. I didn't see any law enforcement at that point. So I don't know who. So we weren't sure if we were taking it as a hoax, but making the connection with what we just saw on the TV. Now we were a mile, maybe a mile and a half at most away from the scene. Now it's 10 minutes deep. So we don't know. We're trying to, I didn't want to go near security because they were going to check to see if we were staying there. So we were safe. We were indoors. So, within probably a couple of minutes, security started coming back our way saying we're on lockdown. Do not let anybody in or out. And probably 3 hours went by before we started realizing they were putting it up on the monitor saying that at that point there were multiple people dead. We were to stay put. But we were receiving no information the entire time that we were on lockdown at the Link.
Cheryl, when you spoke to Brittany before you came on the air, you told her you believe that there were multiple shooters. Why?
The reason why I do is, firstly, there is no way that this Steve Paddock guy, after knowing the information that we have today, to me it's impossible. I don't have a military background. I don't think I need to. There's no way that one individual person could have taken this on by themselves. So whether or not there were associates of his that were fleeing that hotel at that point to wreak havoc on other parts of the strip, a mile and a half down that we start getting, these potentials that, they're coming, whether it's the shooter or I can't believe that people were running because they were saying they're coming because it was the law enforcement. So whether or not somebody lost their nerve, I mean, I don't know, but it's just impossible to me that this kind of, terror can take place with one individual person. He had to have had, some people in his pocket. There's no doubt.
Cheryl,
yeah.
When you heard the shots, right?
We did not hear the shots. I mean, and you know what? It's maybe possible that we did. I mean, we were very close to the venue, but if you understand Vegas, I mean, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of music. There's a lot of, back sound. So, no, I can't honestly say that I heard it directly. I mean, my focus was on obviously protecting, myself and the people that I was with and making sure everybody around me was safe. So that, hearing that kind of stuff was the least of my concerns. I don't know how much more intense I would have felt. I mean, it was unsettling in itself. I can only imagine the people that were at the venue, what they were even going through. Just devastating.
Cheryl, are you okay? Were you hurt at all in any way, shape, or form?
We were not. We were okay, and we're turning into such a godless country. I don't happen to be one of those people, and I'm a huge music fan. And we were taking the tram, leaving the Mandolin. We were overlooking the venue. The venue had already started. The concert was going, and I remember looking over at my friend and saying, "Hey, let's go check it out. It looks like a good time." I mean, over 20,000 people. There were rides and attractions, and people are they're living life and enjoying themselves. And we were just like, he said, "Nah, let's go." He said, "I just don't feel it." And I tell you, it was the grace of God. It was the grace of God, because I may not be sitting here talking to you. So,
Cheryl, God bless you. God bless you, and thank you for calling. Stay safe.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care, Cheryl. 617. That's exactly what I was thinking, by the grace of God. I mean, think about that. You're in Las Vegas. You're trying to have a good time, a nice weekend with your friends. You see a beautiful concert outdoors. Everybody's having fun. Your reaction is, hey, let's pop on in. It looked like everybody's having a good time. And thank the Lord, her friend, for whatever reason, said, I'm not feeling it, because she may not be around today. 617-266-6868. Bruce in Essex. Go ahead, Bruce.
Well, here's something I wrote on Monday and have been trying to penetrate the talk show barriers with ever since, which is the assumption from the first instant of a lone gunman has problems. The two broken windows have exactly the same field of fire. Nothing would have been gained by a lone gunman dashing back and forth. The difference in firing rates from the two windows assumes a lone gunman constantly putting down one automatic rifle and picking up a different one. It has been noted that, by yourself, by the way, that Mr. Paddock's body did not exhibit any sweat stain or other evidence of any vigorous activity. Now, there's a principle of logic called Occam's razor that says that the simplest explanation that entirely explains something is most likely the correct one.
Yes.
Now, the simplest explanation is that Mr. Paddock was with two men. Just before the windows were broken, one of the men shot and killed Paddock. The two men fired into the crowd from different windows using different guns as long as they could. Then, dressed as hotel workers, they went down on the same freight elevator that brought the guns up. The SWAT team went up in the regular elevators and, relying on the lone shooter assumption, did not send any team to the basement to intercept any escaping gunmen. Now, here's a simple question I've added. Has the autopsy of Paddock been released? Or does it show two shots, which would be unusual for a suicide?
Bruce, thank you very much for that call. I have not so far. I don't know if I don't know if they've conducted an autopsy. If they have, I don't know. I don't believe they've released the results. I have not seen any information on that. But look, I think pretty obvious now, Bruce, what we do know. He didn't act alone. He clearly had help. Whether he was a patsy, whether he was being used, whether he was involved, we're going to find out. But I'm starting to now seriously believe that there were multiple shooters. And if there are multiple shooters, then I'm sorry, but that was a terrorist attack. Now, whether it's ISIS, whether it's Antifa, whatever it is. But it's getting now to be pretty hard to dispute, to refute the notion that this was some kind of a larger terrorist cell. 617-266-6868 is the number. Do you believe this was a terrorist attack? Do you think it was ISIS? 617-266-6868. More with your calls. Next.
You got to make the assumption that he had to have some help at some point. And we want to ensure that that's the answer.
126 here on the great WRKO. Okay, let me throw one more log on the fire. It's now coming out that this guy was betting, just to show you the kind of money he had, he was apparently at times gambling $100,000 an hour in video poker. That this guy would just go on hours and hours betting $100,000 an hour. And that people said now they remember him. They go, sometimes he would lose $50,000, $25,000, $10,000. Now he did win sometimes. So they're saying, look, it's, sometimes if you play enough, it could be a wash. But they said he had a lot of money. He gambled a lot of money. He was gambling hundreds of thousands of dollars. And they said the booze never stopped flowing. He always had a drink in his hand at all times. So here you got a guy who apparently is always boozing. Where does he get? I know he's a real estate investor, but still, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, $100,000 an hour, that's a lot of cash, man. That's a lot of cash. Something doesn't add up. Skippy in Southie. Go ahead, Skippy.
Jeff,
Hi.
As regards to those, actually, I want to talk about a loose end. I hope it doesn't slip away. Bear with me for a minute. But the first thing is, when people see multiple flashes and they said they heard a loud boom of a gun and then a smaller boom. If you look at that area, that plaza, that's all cement. And so it's an echo chamber. So you're going to hear a loud boom, and then the end, someone goes, I heard three guns. That's an echo, echo, echo. Now, you also get those glass. If you see that building, how it's contoured, it's glass, and that end curves out. So you get someone shooting, flash, you'll see flashes on all the, even you see flashes on other buildings. So, but the thing I'm calling about is there's a loose end, and I'm afraid it's going to slip through the cracks. You remember that Hispanic woman they were reporting was running into the crowd
Yes.
saying, "You're all going to die." That's no. How is that not being reported on? How's that not? I hope it's being checked. It doesn't make sense. She wasn't screaming, "Jesus is coming! Come on, it's the end of the road." She says, "You're all going to die," and then when no one's paying attention, she starts saying, "You're all going to blank and die," and then security just loco. See you later. Who's to say? For the sake of argument, who's to say she wasn't a hotel employee? And during that 4-day stay that Paddock was there, he had some occasion to leave, and she just happened to go in and put towels in and saw something that disturbed her. And she didn't call the police because maybe she's illegal. She tells her family members, mind your business, you didn't see nothing. Perhaps it bothered her. Perhaps it bothered her conscience, so at least I'm going to do something. I run into the crowd looking like a crazy woman. They should check her, get her, because even if that's the case, or perhaps she may have heard something else, you tie up all the loose ends. That's how you can see if it's tied to ISIS. You got to tie up that loose end.
I agree with you. No, Skippy, look, I agree with you. And now the police have confirmed this, that he was seen, multiple witnesses have said he was seen with a woman several days before the attack. That's now beyond dispute. Now, was it her? Was it somebody else? We don't know. Brittany, very quickly, play the cut of, there were many witnesses, but here's one
There was a lady
witness.
who pushed her way forward into the concert venue into the first row, and she started messing with another lady and told us that we are all going to die tonight.
Is somebody interviewing this woman? I hope they are. Okay, my friends, coming up next, Boston. Yes, he wanted to potentially target Boston. Let's take it to Evan Heidrich in the newsroom. Okay, my friends, breaking news. It now appears that the Las Vegas killer, the Stephen Paddock, apparently was scouting two other cities as well. One of them, Chicago, and the other one, and you tell me if this doesn't make your skin crawl, Boston. So according now to FBI officials, here is now the absolute latest. Stephen Paddock apparently had scouted out and in fact had even booked several rooms at a hotel overlooking the Lollapalooza Festival in Chicago. It's in Grant Park. It's always held annually from August 3rd to August 6th. It is a huge music festival. In fact, it's so big. For example, Malia Obama, the daughter of the dear leader, former President Barack Hussein Obama, she's a regular. She likes to go. And so apparently he booked two rooms, adjoining rooms, like he did at the Mandalay Bay, and he was scheduled to check out a day after the festival, the Lollapalooza festival, ended. By the grace of God, he didn't show up. He got the rooms. He booked them. He insisted he wanted a view with a room with a really good view of Grant Park. And those two rooms directly overlooked the main stage, the main entrance, and the main exit. What's even more chilling is that Grant Park backs into Lake Michigan. So you've got 400,000 people down there. He could have been slaughtering them, and there's no way out. You're surrounded by Lake Michigan. The only way is through one major exit and one major entrance. And so by the grace of God, for whatever reason, he did not target Chicago. Now, what we're also hearing from NBC News is that he also targeted Boston. And in particular, he was researching hotels around Fenway Park. Apparently, he was interested in getting rooms at hotels in the area around Fenway. However, the hotels, or most of the hotels in the area, have an obstructed view of Fenway, or frankly, no view at all. So he clearly at least had his sights set on Fenway Park, which, as you know, doesn't just have the Red Sox. It has a lot of major open-air concerts. Now, thankfully, there isn't a hotel there that directly overlooks Fenway with an open, clear view. Because it could have been Boston and not Las Vegas. What the officials are stressing, however, is that there is no evidence so far, no evidence at all, no indication that he ever traveled to Boston or Chicago. So he wasn't here. I guess he was researching online or whatever. But this is my point. We're a major metropolitan city. We're one of the top 10 cities in the United States. And frankly, we are the financial cultural hub, the epicenter of New England. When terrorists want to strike targets, we in Boston are right up there. We're right up there with New York, Washington, Chicago, and of course, Las Vegas over the weekend. And let me be candid with you like I'm in the confessional. My wife, Dr. Grace, after the incident took place in Las Vegas, on Monday morning said to me, we're just talking about what happened and what her theories were, what my theories were. She said, Jeff, have you noticed something? I'm like, no. I have not gone to a single concert or outdoor event this year. And I said, it's funny you should mention that, sweetheart, but it's true. Now, this is highly unusual. My wife loves concerts. She loves country music concerts. I mean, she loves she loves concerts. She loves going to Gillette. She loves outdoor, especially open air outdoor concerts. She said, and I'll tell you why. I stopped going because my instincts tell me it's not safe. It's not safe. And so I just don't want to go. I don't want to risk it. And it's not just Gillette. She won't even go to TD Garden after the Manchester bombings. If there's an indoor concert, she goes, I don't care if it's indoor or outdoor. I do not want to go to public events where there's going to be a lot of people, because I don't trust that our government will be able to protect us. I just don't. And so I'd rather be safe than sorry. She says that a lot of her friends that she's been speaking to out of the blue will say the exact same thing. They don't want to go to football games. They don't want to go to hockey games. They're not going to go to concerts. They go, it's the way the world has become. I don't trust security. And if they want to get you, they will get you. And I'd rather just stay home and watch something on TV or whatever, listen to it on the radio or whatever it is. But I'm not going to go to these big outdoor events where there's a lot of people, because that's when either mass shooters or terrorists want to strike. And so let me ask you this. I'm not a big concert guy. I'm not. I'm boycotting the NFL because of all the kneeling, so I'm not going to go see a Patriots game. But I'll be candid with you. If I got like tickets to see the Celtics or the Bruins or the Red Sox, I would go. I would still go. But I would, if I did go, I'm much more alert of my surroundings. I'm much more weary of the people I see around me. And I'd be lying to you if it's not in the back of my mind, where I'm looking around, terrorism, possible bombings, shootings. It's now present in the back of my mind. I would still go, but my wife doesn't. And I know, Brittany, are you still going to go to concerts, or, because I know you're nervous about going to outdoor events. You're like Grace on this. You're very, very nervous about security.
I don't know, Jeff. I mean, I went to a lot of Red Sox games during the summer. In the winter I go to Bruins games. So I haven't gone to concerts in a while, Jeff. I mean, the last one I did go with Grace. We went to the TD Garden to see it, but that was last summer. I haven't been to concerts. That was the last one I went to. It depends on who the act is. So I don't know. I'll see. As of right now, I don't think I'm going to go, but we'll see if that changes.
Let me ask you, in the wake of the Las Vegas massacre, and in the wake now of the story that's breaking that he was scouting Boston, Fenway Park, as a possible target, are you like Dr. Grace? Are you like my wife? Forget it. It's just not worth it. Is it changing the way we live? Are you going to be avoiding concerts or outdoor events? 617-266-6868. Lines are loaded. Dave in Somerville. Go ahead, Dave.
Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Didn't ISIS make a soft target threat last year because they said they wanted to hit all the soft targets?
Yes, and Vegas was the big one.
Yeah, so who's to say they weren't behind the whole thing, cause especially with it claiming they did it?
It's a real possibility.
And so why isn't the government saying anything about it?
That's what I find stunning. In fact, look, within 24 hours, the media came out echoing some people in the FBI saying it couldn't be terrorism, that the girlfriend had nothing to do with it. I'm like, how do you know the girlfriend had nothing? It's been barely 24 hours. No, the girlfriend had nothing to do with it, and that ISIS had nothing to do with it, and there was no connection to terrorism. This was lone wolf, and the guy snapped. And I'm like, how could you say that within 24 hours? So I'll tell you what the game is. The game plan is, and for example, there's a piece up on CNN, but I could do this all day, on Slate, the Washington Post, the New York Times, now the Boston Globe is getting in on the act. It's white men. The real problem in America is white men. You can't trust white men with their silent rage. And all of these mass shootings, it's because of white men with guns. You can't trust white men with guns. And so what the media, this is the narrative they're trying to create. This was random. This was a guy, he just snapped. He's a white male, 64 years of age. and just, he's a white man. And you give him a couple of guns, and look what this guy does. And so they're trying to create this narrative that the real source of terrorism, the real source of terror, the real source of danger in America, not Islamic terrorism. No, 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 no. It's not Antifa. No, 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 no. It's white men. White men with guns. And so that's the narrative they're trying to create. And that's why they knocked out terrorism right away. They knocked out ISIS right away. They knocked out that, he could have worked with other people right away. Lone wolf, and he snapped, meaning wee-oo. And then over the next couple days, gun control, guns. And now it's race. White men, white men, white men. That's all you're hearing now. So it's obvious that they're trying to politicize this and cover up what's really going on here. 617-266-6868. Let's go to Paul in Marshfield. Go ahead, Paul.
Jeff, good afternoon.
Hi.
I wanted to float something out there as an idea I had. What if it was an employee? What could facilitate what he was trying to accomplish more than having an inside person? His girlfriend was an employee. She could have connected him to anybody in there. And then he would have known what was going on. He had contact, see what was going on during the shooting, how soon, the police were on him. And I hadn't heard anybody come out with that yet.
Paul, that's a very good point. That this may have been, in other words, an inside job.
Inside job. And if you did a little profiling, went down the list of employees, it could even be, outside vendors that maybe do food in there or do other services within the hotel. But his girlfriend knew everybody in there. So if he, there's no way she didn't know what was going on. How could she possibly live with the guy?
Oh, Paul, listen, look, she was what they call a high hostess. So for years, in fact, she was a hostess at these casinos. In fact, that's how they met. So she knew the hotel. He knew the hotel. They knew the employees. I mean, look, she's playing us for fools. Okay? So now, conveniently, she's out of the country while he does this. Then when she's caught being wired $100,000, I don't know why he sent me $100,000. Maybe he was going to leave me. I was so sad. I thought maybe he's going to leave me, and this is a goodbye check. So there she is with him running house to house to house. They're together. By the way, the last house that they were at in Mesquite, no, it was in Reno. Sorry, they have so many homes that you get confused. One of the neighbors specifically said that something was up. This was several weeks before the shooting. That he came in with some brand new silver minivan. That he loaded everything into his everything what he had in his garage, he emptied into the silver minivan. And that the girlfriend had stayed a couple days longer, Mary Lou Danley. And that she also loaded up her car with everything. So much so that the car was packed. The neighbor said the trunk was packed. She even had stuff on the hood. On the hood of the car. That she just loaded the car up with stuff. So when they left, she said it was obvious that unlike the other times, this time they were leaving for good. Or at least it seemed like they were leaving for good. So this is the same one. I don't know. So you've got your boyfriend, who's buying all of these AK-47s, AR-15s, AR-10s. He's buying explosives. He's got thousands and thousands and thousands of rounds of ammunition. I don't know. I know nothing. In fact, she comes out and says he was a good, quiet, caring man. And I'm, playing dumb. How dumb does she think we are? She knew what was going on. She must have had an inkling of what her boyfriend was up to. Look, to me, her involvement in this is key. And what we still haven't been told or what's been explained, why was that $100,000 wired? Why? Why would you be wiring somebody $100,000? 617-266-6868. I know they think we Americans are dumb, but we're not that dumb. Rick in Andover. Go ahead, Rick.
Hey, Jeff, I'm a big fan, but I got to tell you, I think you're doing a little bit of a disservice today with all the conspiracy talk. I was a guest with the Mandalay Bay for the entire weekend and was there the night of the shooting, but I wasn't in the hotel the night of the shooting. I was in the north part of the city. Couldn't get back to my room that night, but I got to tell you, what a wonderful event was going on during that time. Beautiful people having a lot of fun, cowboy boots, cowboy hats, Daisy Dukes, people having a nice party, enjoying themselves.
No, I understand that, Rick, please, and don't get me wrong, my thoughts and prayers go out to all the victims, but how am I being a conspiracy theorist? In fact, today I've been vindicated. I called out the mainstream media. They said he was a lone wolf. They lied. Now even the police admit he had an accomplice. He did not snap. That was another lie. I called them out. And I said clearly this was pre-planned. It took many months. ISIS has claimed responsibility. I'm not saying he did it on behalf of ISIS, but I'm saying you have to clearly look at that angle. I mean, they've claimed him twice. So what have I said that's a conspiracy theory?
Well, you're suggesting that there was a second person involved. We don't know that.
No, we do. No, we do. The sheriff said so himself. He said there was an accomplice. The question is, was there a multiple shooter? But there clearly was at least one or more accomplices. So I'm sorry, but that's just not true. Well, now, as for the multiple shooters, all I've pointed out is the obvious. There are witnesses who say they saw multiple shooters. I play the audio of that. There are videos I'm putting up as well where you can see it appears to be like there's multiple shooters. I have experts who've called into the show. These are veterans who served in Iraq and Afghanistan. Snipers themselves are trained as snipers who say that it's impossible that a 64-year-old man could have done this, never mind do it on his own. So I'm just providing common sense to the lies and disinformation from the mainstream media.
Oh, but the mainstream media, the sheriff has been nothing more than forthcoming on everything he possibly can. And on multiple shooters, maybe you're listening to different things I've been listening to since I've gotten home, but that building is a mirror, and it was nighttime. If there were flashes coming off of that building, it's completely explainable. I mean, the neon signs there flashed. They're the size of buildings, sides of buildings. I don't know how anybody
Okay, well, Rick, we'll find out. But my point is this. He didn't act alone. We now know there were accomplices. The media lied. He didn't snap. He planned this out over a long period of time. The media lied. So the media has been lying to us from the beginning. So what? I'm just supposed to accept their version of events like sheep? That's not Jeff Kuhner. Never will be. Never was, never will be. Okay, coming up next. Speaking of more fake news, the media caught in another lie. This time about Rex Tillerson and Donald Trump. That story, your calls, next.
The voice of Boston is you. 680 WRKO Boston, 93.7 WEEI HD2 Lawrence, Boston. It's 2 o'clock.